I still remember the cold metal of the hospital chair under my legs the night Ethan left. I was hooked to an IV, bleeding from a car crash he caused, and he stood in the doorway under the blue hallway lights like a stranger. Tall, calm, and empty. "I can't do this anymore, Nancy," he said, voice flat, eyes like stone. "You're holding me back." I stared at him, breath sharp and weak, as a nurse wiped blood from my forehead. Ethan signed a paper, my discharge form, refusing to pay, refusing to stay, refusing me. "We're twins," I whispered. "You don't get to leave." He stepped back. "Watch me." He walked out. No goodbye, no look back. The automatic doors swallowed him like a mouth. Mum cried into her hands beside me, shoulders shaking. Dad stood frozen like he'd been shot. I reached out, IV pulling at my skin, and all I grabbed was air. Pain wrapped my body, but the deeper hurt was inside. A ripping, a burning, a drowning. That was the moment he forgot me. Like a bad dream, and I didn't know it yet, but someday I would return as his reality. Before that night, Ethan and I were one breath, one laugh, one fight. Growing up in Ohio, we shared everything. A birthday, karaoke cake split down the center, matching bikes, the same secret knock. People said twins had a bond no one understood. Maybe that was true once. He was charming, I was steady. He dreamed fast, I thought slow. He wanted fame and risk, I wanted school and peace. When Mum got sick, Dad worked late to cover the bills. Ethan and I studied together by the kitchen window. He joked through homework, tried making me laugh, until milk spilled from my nose. I loved him for it. But as we got older, he changed. He wanted money, attention, shortcuts. He got caught shoplifting once and cried so hard he made me promise to never tell. I kept the secret because he was my twin. Then he met Marcus. Smooth voice, gold chains, fast talk. A man who made trouble look like opportunity. Ethan started disappearing at night. I smelled smoke on his clothes, fear in Mom's eyes. The night of the crash came soon after. Now I replay old memories like bruises. How do you hate someone you once shared a heartbeat with? 2 months later, I woke every morning in a body stitched together, but the wound that mattered most was unseen. Mum's health got worse after the stress. Dad's silence became normal. Ethan was gone. Like we never meant anything. I tried calling him every week. Texted paragraphs. Begged once. No answer. I saw photos on Instagram. Ethan laughing in Miami clubs, holding champagne bottles, girls at his side. While Mum coughed blood at night, while I limped to physical therapy, he lived like we were already dead. One evening I broke. "I hate him," I said out loud, voice shaking like glass. Dad stared at the TV, jaw tight. "Don't waste your mouth speaking his name." But I couldn't let go. A twin bond doesn't vanish. It rots. I started writing everything down. What he did, when he disappeared, where he might go. I checked public property records, social media, old contacts, obsession maybe, but grief needs something to hold. Then one morning, a message came through. A name I recognized. Marcus. "You want to know what Ethan really did the night of the crash? Call me." My heart pounded. My hand trembled. Truth was coming, and truth would hurt. I met Marcus in a diner off Route 40. Red booths, flickering neon, coffee bitter as regret. He sat across from me in a black hoodie, eyes scanning every exit like he expected death to walk in. "You grew up," he muttered. "Tell me why you messaged me." He sipped from a chipped mug and leaned close. "Ethan didn't crash that car by accident." Air left my lungs. "What?" "He was driving fast because he was running. From men he owed." "What men?" He wet his lips, voice low. "Loan sharks in Detroit. He gambled, lost big. They wanted money. He panicked. You were in the passenger seat. He used you as cover. Thought police would go easy on him if you were hurt." My stomach twisted. The room blurred. He put me in that car knowing it could kill us. Marcus nodded once. Something inside me cracked like bone. I felt hot tears, but I didn't wipe them. So where is he now? Marcus slid a napkin across the table. An apartment address in Chicago? He thinks you're done with him. Forgotten. I closed my fingers around the paper, heart pounding like war drums. He forgot me like a bad dream. I would return as his reality. I stood in my childhood room, walls still covered with twin photo collages. Nights at county fairs, matching Halloween costumes. 8th grade science fair where Ethan won and made me swear I wasn't jealous. I zipped my suitcase. Mom sat on the bed, pale but smiling soft. You're going after him, aren't you? My throat tightened. I need answers. She reached for my hand, skin cool and frail. Nancy, don't lose yourself trying to find your brother. I squeezed back. I already lost him. I need to know why. Dad drove me to the bus station without speaking, his knuckles white around the wheel. At the stop, he finally looked at me. If you see Ethan, he whispered, don't let him drag you into his shadow. The bus growled behind us. I hugged him tight. He didn't hug back at first. Then he held me like he was afraid to let go. Chicago was 8 hours away. My heart felt like 800 miles. I boarded, sat by the window and watched my parents shrink until they were small as memories. I wasn't chasing revenge. Not yet. I was chasing truth. But truth never comes gentle. Chicago hit me like ice. Tall buildings, fast voices, a wind that could slice bone. I walked to Ethan's apartment with my suitcase wheels clattering over the sidewalk. Every step felt like walking deeper into a story I didn't want but couldn't leave. The building was old, bricks crumbling like rusted teeth. A buzzer hung, crooked. I pressed it. Static crackled. Then a voice I hadn't heard in months. Who is it? My chest tightened. It's me, Nancy. Silence. Long. Heavy. Then the door clicked open. He stood at the top of the stairs as I climbed. Older, sharper, eyes tired like he hadn't slept in years. For a second I saw the boy who held my hand during thunderstorms. Then it was gone. What are you doing here? He muttered. I stepped into his apartment. Empty pizza boxes, beer cans, papers everywhere. Chaos wearing his face. I know about the loan sharks, the crash. You used me. His jaw twitched. You shouldn't have come. I looked him dead in the eyes. Say you didn't leave me to die. He didn't speak. Silence is confession too. I walked deeper inside, unaware that coming here would change everything. Ethan paced like a trapped animal. Marcus should have kept his mouth shut. So it's true? He stopped, shoulders tense. I didn't mean for you to get hurt. I thought I could outrun them. You strapped me into a death seat. He swallowed hard. I panicked. I stared at the apartment. Eviction notices on the counter, a smashed phone, a half-packed duffel. He wasn't living large anymore. He was drowning. He sat heavily on the couch. I owe $60,000. They want it in 2 weeks. My breath trembled. Ethan, you need help. Real help. He laughed sharp and bitter. You think I called you here for comfort? I stepped back. You didn't call me. I came. He stood, eyes dark and cold. Maybe I needed you to. Something in his voice felt wrong, like he wasn't telling the whole story. I turned toward the window and noticed something I hadn't before. A black car parked across the street. 2 men inside, watching. My heartbeat thundered. Ethan followed my gaze and exhaled shakily. They found me. Before I could speak, someone knocked loud and hard on the door. Reality had arrived. The knock came again, heavier, meaner. Ethan whispered, "Get in the bedroom. Now." I froze. "Nancy, go!" I slipped into the small back room, leaving the door cracked just enough to see. Ethan opened the front door and 2 men stepped inside. Tall black coats, faces sharp as broken glass. "You're late," one said. Ethan's voice shook. "I'm working on it." The second man spotted the half-packed duffel. "Running again?" Ethan raised his hands. "No, A fist smashed into his jaw. He fell hard, blood bright against the carpet. I covered my mouth to keep from screaming. "You have 9 days now," the first man said, wiping his knuckles with a handkerchief. "Interest adds 10,000 more." Ethan coughed, voice cracked. "I'll get it." The men looked around, eyes pausing, on the door where I hid. My heart nearly burst, but they left. Ethan lay breathing heavy, blood pooling under his cheek. I walked out slowly, legs weak. "They'll kill you." He laughed through red teeth. "Not if you help me." My spine went cold. This visit wasn't about forgiveness. It was about debt. And I was his new currency. Ethan wiped his face with a towel, pacing like a man at war with himself. "I need you to come with me," he said. "Where?" "To help get the money." My chest tightened. "What do you mean help?" He turned toward me, eyes desperate. "Your credit score is clean. You could take a loan, enough to get them off my back." My stomach dropped. "You want me to pay your debt?" He stepped forward, voice soft like childhood. "Nancy, we're twins. You're all I have." I felt a storm inside me. Hurt, love, anger, memory. I remembered us catching fireflies at 11, him pulling me up when I fell from my bike, us whispering secrets past midnight. But I also remembered hospital blood, his back turning, his silence. I shook my head slowly. "You left me bleeding on a hospital bed. You don't get to ask me for anything." His face hardened. "So you came to punish me?" "No, I came for truth." "Well, here it is. Without you, I'd die." He meant it. And the worst part? Some part of me still couldn't bear the thought of losing him. That was my weakness. He knew how to use it. That night, I lay awake in his apartment, the sound of traffic like distant thunder. Ethan slept on the floor, beside the couch, face bruised, breathing uneven. I watched him, the way you watch fire, warm and dangerous. Mum always said twins feel each other's pain. If that was true, why didn't he feel mine? I stared at the ceiling and whispered, "If I help him, I drown. If I don't, he dies." Neither option felt like justice. Morning came grey and cold. Ethan made coffee with shaking hands. "So what's it gonna be?" I put down my cup. "I won't take a loan." His jaw clenched. "But I'll help you earn the money legally." He stared like he couldn't decide if I was savior or fool. $60,000? In 9 days? He scoffed. I nodded. "We start now." A plan formed in my head. Risky, wild, but ours. I didn't know if I was saving him or digging my own grave. Ethan pulled on his coat. "Whatever happens, don't quit on me again." I heard the word again like a knife. He quit first. But now I had chosen my war. We needed money, fast and clean. I searched job boards, made calls, walked into shops asking for part-time work. Nothing paid enough. Ethan suggested something else. Flipping broken electronics. He knew how to fix them. I knew how to sell them online. It was risky but legal. We spent our first day digging through thrift shops, pawning, bargaining, repairing. My hands smelled like solder and metal. Ethan worked beside me, focus sharp. For a moment, we were twins again, like the world hadn't cracked between us. That night, we posted 24 devices online. Orders rolled in fast. We made $2,800 in one day, but we needed $60,000. On the fourth night, while Ethan slept, I opened his laptop to update a listing. A folder blinked at me, video files. I clicked. Footage filled the screen. Ethan with Marcus gambling, exchanging envelopes, laughing about insurance. Then a video of me unconscious in the crashed car. He filmed my injury. Then he whispered behind the camera, "If she lives, She'll cover for me. She always does. My blood iced. My breath broke. He didn't just use me. He planned it. Morning sunlight felt colder than Chicago wind. Ethan made breakfast like nothing was wrong. I watched him flip eggs, smiling like an apology never needed saying. I kept my voice even. I saw the videos. His spatula froze midair. Nancy, you planned everything. You let me bleed because you knew I'd forgive you. He turned slowly, eyes empty of denial. I did what I had to. You recorded it? He shrugged. Evidence. In case you betrayed me first. The room spun. Betrayal thickened like smoke. I couldn't breathe. I'm your sister, I whispered. He stared hard. You're my backup plan. Backup plan. I walked to the window, gripping the sill until my knuckles blanched. Outside, life moved. Buses groaned, people laughed, sun glittered off ice. Inside, I felt like winter itself. I turned back. I'll still help you. Ethan blinked, confused. But when this is over, I said slowly, voice iron, you won't own me. He laughed, thinking I was beaten. He had no idea. That was the moment I stopped trying to save him. That was the moment I planned my return. Orders kept coming. We worked like machines. Repairs, shipments, sleepless nights. We made 8,000 by day 4. Ethan was impatient, snapping at me over small mistakes. By day 6, total earnings hit 15,000. Then everything crumbled. Ethan stole back into the gambling world. I woke at 3 a.m. to find him gone. I tracked his phone to an underground poker house. When I arrived, smoke filled the air. Tables crowded with men whose eyes looked like hunger. Ethan sat in the center, betting everything we earned. I pushed through bodies. Stop, Ethan! He slammed his cards down. Lost. 15,000. Gone. He grabbed me, voice wild. We can win it back. I pulled away. You're killing us. He shoved me hard. I hit the wall, stars in my vision. The room fell silent. I stood, throat raw. I'm done. He reached for me. Nancy, I ran. Outside, rain stabbed like needles. I walked 20 blocks back to the apartment, shaking with rage, heartbreak, and realization. Ethan didn't need saving. He needed consequences. We had 3 days left. Ethan stumbled into the apartment at dawn, shirt torn, lip bleeding, eyes desperate. They took my ring, Grandpa's ring. That ring was family, legacy, love. He traded it for chips. I looked at him, the brother I shared a womb with, and saw a stranger molded by greed. He collapsed to the floor. Help me, Nancy, please. His voice cracked. Not manipulative, but hollow. The twin bond tugged at me like a rope around my ribs. But I remembered the video, the shove, the hospital. My blood soaked into car seats while he watched. Still, I bandaged his lip, made him food, placed a blanket over him. Because I am not him, he slept for hours. I sat awake, planning, researching, learning everything about the loan sharks, their habits, their weaknesses, the legal cracks they slid through. Then I found something. A name connected to them. Derek Stone. He ran a shady import company. But he laundered money through false tax reports. If I exposed him, Ethan would be free. I just needed proof and courage. I visited Derek Stone's warehouse pretending to apply for a job. Clipboard in hand, hair in a neat bun, voice steady as truth. The security guard barely glanced at me. Inside, forklifts roared and crates stacked high like secrets. Workers moved fast, eyes down. I studied everything. Shipment logs, computer rooms, employee badges. During a break, I slipped into an office, heart pounding like thunder. My palms sweated as I searched drawers and typed into the computer. And there it was. Files. Accounts. Dirty money trails leading straight to the loan sharks. My hands shook as I copied everything to a flash drive. Suddenly, footsteps. The office door handle turned. I dove under the desk, breath shallow. 2 men entered, talking about payments, deadlines, Ethan's name. My blood froze. They planned to collect in 24 hours, not 3 days. When they left, I ran. Rain fell as I reached the street, soaked and shaking. But the flash drive in my pocket felt like a weapon. When I returned home, Ethan sat waiting, face dark. "Where were you?" I held the drive up. "Saving your life." Ethan stared like I held a bomb. "What is that?" "Evidence. If we turn this in, Stone and the Sharks go down." His jaw clenched. "And what happens to me?" I sat across from him. "You testify, cooperate. You walk away." He pressed his hands to his eyes. "They'll kill me. Not if we move first." It was the first time I felt power in this story, not pain. We contacted an investigator, Officer Jalen Reeves. Stern voice, sharp mind. I told him everything. He listened like truth mattered again. "We need Ethan to testify," he said. "But we can protect him if he gives full statements." Ethan hesitated for hours. He smoked, he paced, he cursed. Finally, he nodded. "I'll do it. But you stay close." I agreed, because helping him wasn't forgiveness. It was control. We scheduled a meeting for 10 a.m. the next morning. That night, Ethan sat beside me quietly, eyes glassy, like a boy again. "You really came for me." I didn't answer, because deep down I came for myself. Morning came pale and slow. We walked toward the police station through cold wind and city noise. Ethan kept looking over his shoulder like guilt had hands. Halfway there, a car screeched to a stop beside us. 2 men jumped out. "The Sharks!" "No!" I screamed as they grabbed Ethan, dragging him toward the car. I lunged, grabbing Ethan's arm. One man punched my ribs. Pain exploded through me. I fell, breath stolen. Ethan shouted my name, voice breaking like glass. They shoved him into the car. I crawled toward the sidewalk, gasping. Tires burned, rubber, smoke rising. The car sped off, with my brother inside. People stared but didn't move. City life never pauses for pain. I forced myself up, ribs screaming, and dialed Officer Reeves with shaking fingers. "They took him. They have Ethan. Please." Reeves answered fast. "We'll track the car. Stay where you are." But I couldn't stay. He forgot me like a bad dream. But I would return, not with love, with fire. I stole a bike from the rack, sorry to whoever owned it, and pedaled through traffic like survival was chasing me. Officer Reeves texted an address, abandoned factory near the river. Cold air cut my lungs as I reached the gates. Rusted, padlocked, towering like a monster's jaw. I climbed over, hands bleeding. Inside, dim light spilled through broken windows. Voices echoed. "Money or blood, Osman?" Ethan's voice cried out, raw, terrified. "Please, just wait." My heart hammered like war drums. I crept forward, hiding behind crates. 3 men circled Ethan, tied to a chair. A gun glinted. My mind flashed to the hospital. His cold goodbye, the videos, the shove. I still stepped forward, because I choose who I am, not him. I raised my phone, recording everything. "Let him go," I said, voice shaking but loud. They turned. One laughed. "Little sister came to save the hero." "No," I said, "I came to expose you." I hit send. Video files, evidence, location, straight to Officer Reeves. Sirens exploded outside. The Sharks panicked. Ethan looked at me like salvation. Then all hell broke. Gunshots cracked through the factory. I ducked, metal shards raining like sharp rain. Ethan screamed behind me, struggling against ropes. One man charged. I threw a broken bottle, slicing his arm. He dropped the gun. I kicked it away, adrenaline burning like lightning. Police stormed the entrance, shouting commands. Chaos, running, shouting, arrests. And then silence. Ethan slumped in the chair, shaking. Tears streaked his face. "You came," he whispered. I cut his ropes. His body collapsed into my arms like a child. But inside me, something was shifting. I saved him, yes, but I no longer needed him. We walked outside into grey daylight. Officer Reeves placed a blanket around my shoulders, voice calm. You both will testify. We'll protect you. Ethan nodded but held my wrist tight, like afraid I'd vanish. 3 years of my life had revolved around him. Now the gravity was breaking, and he felt it. Court smelled like old paper and cold judgment. Ethan testified first. Shaky voice, glassy eyes, truth spilling in broken pieces. He confessed everything. Debts, lies, the crash. The courtroom gasped. When it was my turn, I stood tall. My name is Nancy Osman. I am the twin he left to die. I told them everything. The blood, the video, the betrayal heavy as bone. My voice didn't tremble. Not once. Ethan stared at me like hearing my truth for the first time. Like realizing I was more than his shadow. The judge ruled. Derek Stone and the Sharks received long sentences. Ethan entered mandatory rehab, financial counseling, and community service. Justice tasted bittersweet. After court, Ethan stood beside me outside on the courthouse steps. Traffic hummed below, a world still turning. He said quietly, I don't deserve you. For the first time, I agreed. While Ethan entered his recovery program, I moved into a small apartment in Seattle. Fresh air, new skyline, nobody calling me back up. I worked at a bookstore cafe, took college classes at night, laughed with strangers who didn't know my scars. Some mornings I still woke, reaching for my twin-like habit. Pain didn't disappear. It matured. Ethan called sometimes, voice calmer, sobriety softening his edges. I'm proud of you, he'd say. But I no longer lived for praise. One sunset, looking over the water, I realized I was no longer half of a whole. I was whole alone, not because Ethan changed, but because I did. Healing wasn't revenge. Healing was the return. 6 months after the sentencing, I received a handwritten letter. Ethan's handwriting looked like childhood. Messy, hopeful. Nancy, I know you don't owe me anything. But thank you for giving me back my life. I'm working every day to deserve the title of brother again. If you ever want to see me, I'll be here. Not because you're my backup, because you're my mirror, my twin, my truth. I love you, Ethan. I cried slow and quiet, not because the wound reopened, but because it finally began to close. Forgiveness is not forgetting. Forgiveness is choosing peace over poison. I traveled to Chicago only when I was ready. The city felt smaller, like it no longer owned my fear. Ethan met me outside the rehab center, thinner, clearer, eyes no longer hungry. He didn't hug me immediately. He asked, "Can I?" I nodded. The embrace felt like memory, but not control. "Thank you for saving me," he said softly. "I didn't save you," I answered. "I saved myself from hating you forever." He breathed in, shakily. "I'll spend my life making up what I broke." I didn't promise anything. I didn't need to, because power wasn't revenge. It was return. And I had returned as his reality. Time softened sharp edges. Ethan finished rehab, found stable work, spoke at recovery centers, warning boys who think shortcuts equal success. I built my career, wrote about resilience, helped trauma survivors find voice. We weren't perfect. We argued. We healed. But we met every Thanksgiving. Not because we had to, but because we chose to. One evening, he looked at me across the dinner table and whispered, "I remember that night every time I breathe." I reached across, took his hand. Firm, not soft. You don't have to drown in guilt. Just don't forget again. He blinked fast, nodding like promises were bones he could finally stand on. The story people know is simple. He forgot me like a bad dream. But the truth is more human. I returned as his reality. not as revenge, as reminder, as boundary, as strength he could no longer destroy. Today I look in the mirror and see the girl who once lay bleeding, abandoned. And I see the woman who stood again, took control, faced danger, exposed crime, saved a life, including her own. Ethan and I still share blood, but no longer chains. Our story is not sweet. It is steel. Wounds made wings. Pain made power. I am not the dream he forgot. I am the truth he must remember. Forever.